Question number 64.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise to ask question number 64. A, could the Cabinet Secretary provide a list of the learners who lost their lives in the stampede that occurred at Kakamega Primary School on Monday, the 3rd February 2020? B, when will the families of the deceased family learners receive the compensation awarded to them by the courts? And could the Cabinet Secretary indicate the amount due to each family? And C, could the Cabinet Secretary also indicate when the families of the 3 students and a teacher who died from a water and food poisoning at Mukumu Girls High School in Kakamega County will receive the 400,000 shillings that was promised to them by the former Cabinet Secretary, the Honorable Machoku? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable CS, you may now proceed to respond.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On part A of that question, Mr. Speaker, in this unfortunate incident, the list of the learners who lost their lives in that unfortunate incident is as follows. 1, Anonet Ilamwenya of Class 5V, Prudence Eliza of Class 5W, Catherine Alo of Class 5W, Naila Kiverenge of Class 4G, Prince Vamalia of Class 4G, Nicholas Achola of Class 5P, Vanessa Adesa of Class 5P, Fidel Kambuti of Class 5P, Simon Wawero of Class 4G, Samuel Simeka of Class 5V, Lavenda Kosa of Class 5P, June Nakumincha of Class 4G, Joseph Musami of Class 5B, Batha Munywele of Class 5Y, Salma Olesi of Class 5W. Mr. Speaker, on the second limb, by a judgment delivered on 15th of March 2023, the court ordered a compensation of 1.25 million shillings to each learner's family. We are working to secure the resources to effect the judgment before the end of this financial year. Through a multi-stakeholder effort involving the national government, the county government of Kakamega, and the Ministry of Interior and National Administration and the Salvation Army Church, each family has been paid 413,000. On limb C of the question on the issue of the 400,000, the 3 others who suffered, Mr. Speaker, the 3 students were part of the comprehensive medical insurance cover under Edu Afia scheme. The scheme, which was operated by the National Hospital Insurance Fund, included a last expense payment of 100,000 and a group life cover of 400,000, totaling 500,000 per student. Thus far, the families of the following 2 students have already been paid. The late Miriam David Namajanja, admission number 18675, under policy number UPI JSL SUA, the last expense and group life benefits totaling 500,000 were paid on 20th of February 2024 to our parents, Mr. Sitoshe Webo David. The payment was deposited in a KCB bank account at the Webuye branch. The late Mambili Diana, admission number 17351, policy number UPI 29RLSM. Our next of kin, Mr. Paul Mambili, received the 500,000 being payment for the last expense and group life benefits. This amount was deposited in cooperative bank account at Kakamega branch. The third case concerned the late Wendy Amani Oyugi Abeti, admission number 19037, UPI, that's the policy number UPI 3HB6FN. The claim for our last expense and group life benefits has not yet been processed. Errors were found in the claim form and our parents were advised to correct and resubmit the form. NHIF received the corrected document on 28th of June 2024 and the claim is now being processed. Regarding the deceased teacher, the Teacher Service Commission is currently processing the gratuity for payment to the family. I submit.
Senator Bonnie Khalwale, do you have supplementary questions? Yes, Mr. Go ahead.
Yes, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this was a very sad case in Kakamega. And Mr. Speaker, we are talking about 2020, 4 years ago, purely on humanitarian grounds. Could the minister assure me so that I go and tell the parents that you're going to expedite, they be paid? Losing a child and the government giving them 400 shillings is nothing. So when you delay it, you make the mourning to continue and continue. When are you going to settle it? And Mr. Speaker, the case of the children at Mukumu Girls, they are unique because the principal secretary is an alumni of that school. So they are very hopeful that, Minister, you will help their old girl to take the money to them, since she's on your immediate right. Minister, can I request that you help PS Beatrice to look good in her old school? In fact, one of the children, Beatrice might not have told you, is from her village. And when I went to bury her, we didn't have the words. Finally, Mr. Minister, the minister also on that day promised to pay 15 million shillings to Butere girls and 20 million to Mukumu girls. The 15 million for Butere girls went. The 20 million for Mukumu girls has not come. When are you going to pay for the same problem?
Maybe, do we have maybe questions on that line? If I follow my list, then I can see Kadri Muma, Senator Kadri.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable CS, my follow-up question on this is whether the Ministry of Education has a policy regarding compensation of families of learners in the events of accidents, loss, deaths arising from events such as what happened in Mukumu, poisoned water, what happened in Nyeri, fires. I think it is despicable that you would have somebody begging a ministry on the delivery of rights. Do we have a policy on this to ensure that every school has an insurance or an arrangement that can ensure that the loss of lives, loss of limbs, disability caused because of negligence is covered by the government or the insurance companies?
Senator Joe Nyutu, Chair Education Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question may not be very different from what Senator Catherine Muma has asked, but maybe I can put it in a different way. Mr. Speaker, and I'm addressing the Cabinet Secretary through you. Over the years, we have had very many incidents in schools, Mr. Speaker, causing deaths to students. And all the ministry has done all the time is to tell us about some safety measures that they have set in place in order for learners to be safe. But, Mr. Speaker, it seems that when these incidents do happen, they defy the regulations that the ministry has had. Exactly what new measures, Mr. Speaker, has the ministry, instituted? Because the old measures seem not to work anymore. The issue of staircases, because I think that is what happened in Kakamega, inadequate staircases in school buildings. Do they inspect regularly, or this happens only when an incident happens, Mr. Speaker? So in a nutshell, what new does the ministry have save for the old measures of ensuring student safety in schools. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Senator Beatrice Oboro.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. My question relates to compensation of loss. Honorable Speaker, sometimes back, a student at St. Albert's Ulanda Girls, then called Quinta Amondi, was shot by a prison warder, a stray bullet, and lost half of her face, half of the eye. This affected the student in the learning process, and up to date, Honorable CS, the student has yet to get a compensation. What would you say about that? And what follow-up would you make?
Senator Samson Chalye.
Mr. Speaker, my quick question, the reason there was stampede in Kakamega and Endarasha fire, Mr. Speaker, there is a Ministry of Education policy on the standards and safety of learners. How regular is the Ministry of Education through the new CS, Mr. Migosi, do spot check to ensure that the boarding facilities are either fireproof or are compliant with safety measures? And what has the ministry done to ensure compliance or in partnership with Ngao and other agencies so that our learners are not subjected to challenges of safety within the learning institutions, especially primary and secondary schools? I thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Honorable Senators, those questions are just similar, so I want to pick these two other senators and then the CS will be able to respond, because you need only one similar answer. Senator Omar Sheikh, Maliam.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mine is Bwana CS. What do you think about this KPSEA exam, which require a lot of resource, and at the end of it, there is no certificates? And what is the difference between the KPSEA and the internal exam done by individual schools? Thank you.
Last on this question, Senator Agnes Kavidu Mudhama.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable CS, from the tragedy of Changuli on 25th of March, 2001, I think the Ministry of Education must have put in place by now strict measures about fires in schools. And I would also like to know if those students who died in Changuli tragedy were completely compensated. Thank you, Mr. CBS.
Mr. CS, answer those questions. Can we proceed to the next question?